Dominic, thanks very much. It's 8:45. 9 years ago, David Carey told the police he had been verbally abused by a neighbour in the street for being gay. The police didn't take his complaint seriously, so he sued them. The case was due to be heard in court this morning, but Scotland Yard have now admitted there were shortcomings in their investigation. They've apologised and agreed to pay compensation. David Carey is here now. Good morning.
Good morning.
What happened 9 years ago?
I was cycling home one evening on my bike, and my neighbour, who there'd been a bit of a history with already, decided that she would jump out in front of my bike. It was a winter evening, it was slightly raining, and I veered into the path of oncoming traffic, and then her and her friends hurled a sort of tirade, if you like, of homophobic abuse toward me.
They're words like puff.
Yeah, queer on a bike, puff on a bike, etc.
And you say there was a history. She
Yes.
had, a few years prior to that, been convicted of assaulting you.
Yes, she was convicted of ABH for breaking my jaw 4 years prior to that, and as a result of that, the Met had said to me, do come and report anything else that happens.
Okay, and so what happened when you reported this?
They tried to dismiss it as a mere neighbour dispute, despite knowing the history, not a hate crime. So they were insisting that it was a neighbour dispute, not a hate crime. Now, obviously, there's a very simple distinction there, which you don't need to have a huge intellect to grasp, so I don't really understand to this day why the Met couldn't get their head around that.
What did you do when that happened, when they said this is just neighbourhood dispute?
Well, I complained to the Department of Professional Standards. They dismissed the complaint without even looking at the guidelines or interviewing the officer in question. And then I appealed to the Independent Police Complaints Commission, the IPCC. That was successful, so a second investigation was ordered. But this too was inadequate and came back. They were sort of insisting on characterising it again as a neighbour dispute as opposed to a hate crime.
So what did you do then? Because we're talking years past things.
Yes.
And presumably there were some of your friends, some people saying, just let it go. This was, yes, she was convicted for breaking your jaw, but this was just, a few words in the street.
Yes, there were a few people saying to drop it, but I was very angry and annoyed and frustrated how I was dealt with. I wasn't asking for preferential treatment, I was just asking to be treated like anybody else. So I appealed the Independent Police Complaints decision, but this time lost, which was slightly contradictory on their part because they accepted the police described the homophobic abuse as minor words. But the IPCC still failed to realise that trivialised the abuse. I mean, if someone called somebody of mixed race origin or referred to them using the N-word back in 2007, I don't think the Met would view it as minor words. But that's what they called homophobic abuse.
Now it was due to go to court today, wasn't it?
Yes.
So, they were defending it and they were holding out. And then, when did you hear that there'd been a change of heart?
About a week and a half ago.
And they said, look, we will pay you compensation and the apology?
And a written apology, which was extraordinary, and compensation, yes.
And you're satisfied?
I'm as satisfied as anybody can be in this situation. I think there's an important thing that people think, if you're compensated, that gives you back what you've lost. But I've sort of lost 9 years of my life, and so no amount of money or compensation or whatever gives you back that.
The police say that they say there were shortcomings, that they could have dealt with it more professionally and sympathetically. But they also say they've dramatically changed how they investigated homophobic crime. You're smiling before I finish the sentence. Why?
I don't want to appear cynical, but it's very hard from my perspective to accept that. I mean, their own LGBT website declares, homophobic and transphobic abuse as a crime and report it and stop it and don't tolerate it. Well, I reported it. They didn't stop it, and they did more than tolerate it. They fought it for the last 9 years. So it's very hard to believe when they say there's been dramatic changes. There might have been subtle ones. I don't know if there's dramatic ones, but...
David Carey, thank you very much.
Thank you. The time